company worked super hard to create compelling products, to create great cars. And we started off with the Roadster and then the Model S. And the Model S was rated, by Consumer Reports as the best car ever. Got the Model X, which has had some teething issues, but I think is now at the point where it's really starting to. I think it's really, quite sublime at this point. And so people look at that and say, okay, well, if Tesla's made these cars, then probably the next car they make is going to be,
the
also,
less expensive one.
Also a great car, and so it'll be a great car, but it'll be affordable. And it's like, great, okay, that sounds like something I want.
So this next car, the price is.
It's starting at $35,000. Yeah.
Okay, affordable. Okay,
when do
you get to the really affordable, the way down much lower than that?
Yeah, I mean, it's important to point out that $35,000, particularly when factoring in the lower cost of electricity versus gasoline, and that the maintenance cost is much less. You don't have to have oil changes. You never need to replace your brakes because the car uses regenerative braking, so the brakes last as long as the car does. It's basically you just need to replace the tires. That's about all. So the operational cost of the car is much lower fundamentally than a gasoline car, and so I think the average price for cars for gasoline cars is around 30, 32, something like that. Yeah, I mean there are starting prices that are lower, but when people pick options, I believe it's in around 32 or so in the U.S. So we're pretty close to that average.
But that's your base price, right? I mean
yeah, but it's going to be a great car.
That may not be the ASP for the car.
No, but it's going to be a great car even at 35. So it's like even if you order no options at all, it'll be great.
But you're likely to have a mix where the average car that you actually sells for a little more than that.
Yes, it's probably going to be it's probably going to be some higher number. But it's really important to emphasize like 35. If somebody orders the $35,000 car, they'll be very happy. Like it's not like you need to order a bunch of options without which the car is not good.
That car will have autonomous for 35.
I have a. I'm going to do another Tesla event maybe at the end of the year. Talk more about that.
And
well, so you could start here.
It will be real big news if I start here.
We don't mind that.
Let me just say that we're going to do the obvious thing.
Okay.
Okay. Got it.
It's really obvious.
So cup holders, good. Okay.
Yeah.
So
brilliant.
Those things are nuanced.
All right, absolutely. Let's talk about two more things. I want to talk about AI because we've been talking about it a lot here, which I want to get it clear what your thoughts are because it's mostly Elon scared of robots. I mean, that kind of thing. Or how do you?
I'm scared of robots.
Or artificial intelligence. Can you clarify exactly what the issue you have now?
And you deserve the background. We've been talking to Jeff Bezos, Sundar Pichai. We talked to Mark Fields from Ford about it.
The
Facebook folks. There certainly seems to be in the tech companies a big, tremendous new drive or interest to believing they will be all competing for intelligent assistance.
And it's good. It'll make your life better. And
make your life better.
Technology
Siri is going to suddenly get smart. Yeah. Microsoft's one is going to get smart. Google is going to cream them all.
It's largely a happy version of this. Sometimes technology hurts you, but not as much as it helps you. That's really.
Yeah. So there's been a lot of conversation here about that.
Yeah, sure.
And you've staked out a slightly different position. So can you talk about that?
Well, I mean, I think my sort of full position would require quite a long explanation. I mean, I am concerned about certain directions that AI could take that would be not good for the future. I mean, I think it'd be fair to say that not all AI futures are benign, not all.
Okay.
And so if you have something, if we create some digital superintelligence that exceeds us in every way by a lot, it's very important that that be benign. and so actually with a few others, I created OpenAI, which is an AI. It's a nonprofit actually. There's no. I think the governance structure here is important. So we want to make sure that there was not some fiduciary duty to generate profit off of the AI technology that's developed. So we created this 501c3, but I think it's quite different from. I mean, like a lot of sort of 501c3s are, they don't have a high sense of urgency, and like they're not like, they're not really sort of developing technology at a fast pace. But OpenAI is. So OpenAI has a very high sense of urgency, and I think that the people that have joined are really, really amazing. And the intent with OpenAI is to democratize AI power. There's a quote that I love from Lord Acton. He was the guy that came up with power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely, which is that freedom consists of the distribution of power and despotism in its concentration. And so I think it's important, if we have this incredible power of AI, that it not be concentrated in the hands of a few and potentially lead to a world that we don't want.
And what world is that? What do you foresee that when you see it?
It's difficult. I mean, it's called the singularity because it's difficult to predict what future that might be. Except I don't know a lot of people who love the idea of living under a despot. I don't think people generally choose to live in a democracy over a dictatorship.
And the despot would be the computer?
Or the people controlling the computer.
And do you worry specifically about any of these companies I mentioned, who've all seemed to now kind of be pivoting toward this as the battleground in the next 10 years?
I won't name a name, but there is only one.
There's only one you're worried about. And they're not preoccupied with making a car that will compete with you, I assume.
There's only one.
And tell me, this is an interesting.
It's not about competing. This is sort of like what would be the point of competing for, mutual destruction? It's like it's not about competing. It's really just about trying to increase the probability that the future will be good. That's all. So the goal of OpenAI is really just to take the set of actions that are most likely to improve the positive futures. Like you can think of like the future as a set of probability streams that branch out and then converge, collapse down to a particular event, and then branch out again. And there's a certain set of probabilities associated with the future being positive and different flavors of that. And at OpenAI, we want to try to do whatever we can to guide, to increase the probability of the good futures happening. I think that's really what we're trying to do there.
Do you worry that by making this open, some bad actors may use some of what has been developed to do bad stuff with the power of AI?
Yeah, I mean that is certainly a good rebuttal to that. However, I think if AI power is widely distributed, and there's not, say, one entity that has some super AI that is 1,000,000 times smarter than anything else. If instead the AI power is broadly distributed, and to the degree that we can link AI power to each individual's will. So like you would have your AI agent, and everyone would have their sort of AI agent, and then if somebody did try to do something really terrible, well, then the collective will of others could overcome that bad actor. Which you can't do if there's one AI that's 1,000,000 times better than everything else.
And it's proprietary.
And it's either has its own will, or more likely, at least in the beginning, is controlled by some small set of people. So I think that's really the risk. I mean, there's always been these arguments like what's the best form of government? I'm a big fan of, I think it was Churchill, democracy is the worst form of government except for all the others.
Right.
So speaking of that,
Yeah.
this election. You are from...
Oh, no.
No, no, no. Yes, yes, yes. How does that strike you, what's happening now? You've come to this country, you're a naturalized citizen?
You know, I think I'm glad that the framers of the Constitution saw fit to ensure that the president was someone who was captain of a large ship with a small rudder.
Okay. And?
There's a limit to how much harm any given president.
Are you sure about that?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So you're not worried about, are you backing in either of the candidates at this point?
Trying to stay out of this situation.
Because?
I don't think that's the finest moment in our democracy.
Well, given that it's not the finest moment in our democracy, do you think the best thing is to stay out? Or
we'll see.
To get in?
I'm not sure what I could do to
head off the worst.
I'm not sure how much influence I could have as one person on the outcome. I mean, if I think I could make a difference, I would probably do something. Like I said, I think I'm just glad that being the U.S. president is like being captain of a large ship with a small rudder. Mm-hmm. And so there's just a limit to how much good or bad a president can actually do. I mean, obviously, if a president could make the economy great, and there was like a button they could press, they'd be pressing that button at the speed of light. Mm-hmm. So, you know, they can't. Like, they can't just magically make the economy good. No president wants the economy bad ever, but they, you know, like there's just a limit to how much they can do, you know, I guess there is the nuclear thing, which is
yeah, the nuclear thing. I guess there is the nuclear thing.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think people, I don't think we would like just arbitrarily launch nuclear missists.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One would
The
hope.
president can do that.
I don't think so. Not
President's the
arbitrarily.
commander-in-chief.
I mean, I think that
He's the commander-in-chief.
yeah, no, but I still don't think that means you can just launch nuclear missiles whenever you want.
Yeah.
I think Congress would be like quite upset about that, and
They might not be consulted.
yeah, but I think like the military would be like, yeah, we really think Congress should be consulted on it before we launch a
Yeah.
That might happen. That
preemptive
could
nuclear
happen.
strike.
Are you willing? You're basing your faith in that, though.
I'm quite confident that the military would not just, you know, randomly agree to launching nuclear missiles at somebody.
Well, that's calming.
This is
Yeah.
pretty comforting, yeah.
We're going to put up just very quickly, we'll end on Hyperloop. You've been involved with it. Your level of involvement is what at this point? Just
Yeah, I know
visionary?
it's a bit confusing because
You talked about it when you were here last time.
yeah, I actually came up with the idea. I came up with an initial idea which turned out to be wrong and wouldn't work several years ago, and then but I sort of shut my mouth off and said, oh, I feel like I have an idea that would work, and it turned out that didn't work. But with a lot of iteration, was able to come up with something where the physics hangs together, and then published the paper and just said, like, look, anyone who wants to do this is great. Go, you know, be my guest, because I sort of have my plate full running Tesla and SpaceX.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I think it'd be great. I mean, it'd be great to have any interesting new transport solutions, anything that gets people to their destination in a way that's safer, costs less, is more convenient. That'd be great. I mean, and so I think probably the most valuable thing that the Hyperloop paper that I published has done is to spur thinking in terms of new transportation systems. So it's not just, oh, let's, you know, have a fast train. Okay, that's not even as fast as what Japan did in the 80s. Like, okay, well, I don't see what the point of that is, you know. Mm-hmm. Like, we should really be trying to think of something that's, I think particularly in California, like, we should be like saying, hey, what is the best, let's invent something new that's way better than anything else.
Do you want to shoot your mouth off about that?
You know, I mean, I'm not an investor in any of the companies that are working on it, and I've tried to be neutral because I'm like I'm trying not to favor one company over another, but just to encourage anyone that is interested to say, hey, you know, try to give them moral support, you know, and I hope they succeed. The only thing that I am doing on the Hyperloop front is like we're holding a student competition, and the student competition is really just aimed towards encouraging students to think about exciting new transport methods. And it's totally cool if they want to like do some architecture that's different from what I proposed in Hyperloop. And in fact, the winning team at the student competition that we held earlier this year used a different suspension mechanism than what I proposed, which is I proposed using essentially taking the air that builds up on the nose from the compressor and flowing that through air skis so that you simultaneously remove the drag from the nose and provide a means of suspending the pod. And that's also something that works well even at supersonic velocities. You can go, it's been demonstrated up to Mach 1.1 in terms of using air bearings as
But they use something different.
Yeah, basically electromagnetic suspension. The reason I didn't suggest sort of any kind of magnetic suspension is that it's very important that the cost of the tube be minimized. So you really want, because the pod is cheap, the tube is expensive. So if you want to go, say, 400 miles and in two directions, so you've got 800 miles of tube. The critical economic optimization parameter is the cost of the tube. So you want that tube to be as low cost as possible. And so if you do anything that requires action on the tube side, it's going to make that tube much more expensive. So if you use air bearings, it doesn't change. Like, that's real cheap. Yeah, so.
You think this is going to happen?
Yeah, I think something like that. I think something will happen in the future. I think if the companies that are trying to make it happen now, if for whatever reason that doesn't work out, then I think I might do something myself in the future. I don't want to do something. I don't want to sort of front run them. It's like, say, here's this free idea, and then meanwhile I go and do it myself. That wouldn't be nice. So, but if a bunch of people, if companies don't try it and it doesn't work out, then I think I'll try to just at least do a demonstration system.
Okay, last question. Do you think tech has gotten more serious? How do you look at the tech landscape as someone who's well-known? You probably qualify as a visionary. The concept, where do you imagine we are right now in the tech space? And then we'll get to questions from the audience.
I think there's a lot of innovation happening in many different areas. The advancements in AI, I think, are quite astonishing. The advancements in genetics are amazing. So I think that there is a lot of innovation going on. I think that there's probably a few too many talented entrepreneurs in kind of the internet space, and I think their talent actually would be better served in some other industries. But I do think I don't think we're like facing some sort of low innovation period or anything like that. I think there's a lot of innovation going on.
They need to move to other.
I just think there's like, if you had some ideal distribution, it would probably be fewer. Like, there's just a lot of talent focused on the internet, and probably some of that talent would it'd be better to have some of that talent in other industries. That's about all. But there's tremendous amount of innovation that's happening. It's something that I think is going to be quite important. And there's not, I don't know of a company that's working on it seriously, is a neural lace. So going back to the AI situation, this is quite an important debate. Like, if you assume any rate of advancement in AI, we will be left behind by a lot. And so then we could be in, like, benign, but even the benign situation, if you have some, if you have ultra intelligent AI, we would be, so far below them in intelligence that it would be like, a pet, basically.
Cat, that's what I was
like
thinking.
a pet,
Cat,
like a cat.
Elon
It'd be like
the
a house cat. Yeah, it would be like the house cat.
Right.
It's not, that's it's not the end of the world, It's just,
Well,
sort of pet.
You've seen the movie, it could be. Yeah.
It could be. So that honestly, that would be the benign scenario. And
So house cat is okay.
I mean, I don't love the idea of being a house cat.
Okay.
But that.
So what's the solution?
Yeah. So I think I think it's to essentially. I think one of the solutions that seems maybe the best one, is to have an AI layer. If you think of, like, you've got your limbic system, your cortex, and then a digital layer, sort of a third layer above the cortex, that could work well and symbiotically with you. I mean, just as your cortex works symbiotically with your limbic system, your sort of a third digital layer could work symbiotically with the rest.
This is something that's surgically inserted or bred into the species, or what?
The fundamental limitation is input-output. So we already have, we're already a cyborg. It's just that, I mean, you have a digital version of yourself, or partial version of yourself online in the form of your emails and your social media and all the things that you do. And you have basically superpowers in that with your computer and your phone and the applications that are there. You have more power than the President of the United States had 20 years ago. Like, you can answer any question, you can video conference with anyone
Right.
anywhere, you can send a message to millions of people instantly. You can just do incredible things. And but the constraint is input-output. So we're I/O bound, particularly output bound. I mean, like, your output level is so low. It's like, particularly on a phone, like your two thumbs just sort of tapping away. This is ridiculously slow. Our input is much better because we have a high bandwidth visual interface to the brain. Like, our eyes take in a lot of data. So there's many orders of magnitude difference between input and output. So mostly, effectively merging in a symbiotic way with digital intelligence revolves around eliminating the I/O constraint. So it'd be some sort of direct cortical interface.
And you called it a neural lace?
Neural lace, yeah.
It's totally not Google Glass, right?
No, I'm talking about something
no, but it's
which...
like you wear it? Or you...
No, I mean, it would be... I mean, there are a few